Broncos country, let's ride. Broncos country, let's ride. Broncos country, let's ride. Broncos country, let's ride.
Once the trade was going to happen, and I said, hey, listen, I want to make sure I go to a city that wants to win. I want to make sure I go to a team that wants to win. And I want to go to a city that knows how to win. And all those three things were checked off the box here in Denver. And so I think we got a chance.
Not the dude. And he missed it wide left.
Ladies and gentlemen, Seahawks and football fans everywhere, a very warm welcome back to the We Talk Seahawks podcast. It was a good weekend, wasn't it? Oh, man. Didn't expect to be coming on to do a podcast reviewing a Seahawks win over the Broncos.
You didn't.
I didn't. Whatever I said, whatever I did.
Get the trumpets out for Josh.
Get the trumpets out.
I'm surprised
Josh.
He's not got his own in his room.
I'm
going to buy you a trumpet engraved with your name on.
I've had to push my camera all the way back just to fill my massive head in this.
Oh, is that why you've done that, is it?
Oh, you know, can I say this room's actually about 12 foot long.
Right.
I'm that far away. My head's that big because I predicted the win.
We called you delusional. We called you, I can't remember what we called you, to be honest, but we're so sorry. We should have believed. But we did it. We won 17-16. What a game. Football is back. We are back reviewing the games. A lot to talk about tonight, so we can't wait to get into it. And it's a lot more. We normally call these episodes rants and reviews. I don't think we're going to be able to use rants. There's no ranting, I think, coming tonight. So that's a nice change. We didn't expect for that to be happening so early in the season. But yeah, man, 17-16, unbelievable. Right, we're going to be talking, obviously, Geno Smith, the wizard that is Geno Smith, absolutely backed him since day one. And then Russell Wilson as well, obviously, I know you're all frowning. No, I did.
Are you on crack?
No, I promise you. I definitely backed Geno Smith.
Oh, God.
Quick, everyone, listen back to all the previous pods and just let us know.
Yeah, I'm sure you can. And
we'll put a poll up on on Twitter, and we'll see.
You do that, Pez. Yep. Geno, Russ, offense, defensive performances. Some interesting comments from Pete Carroll as well, basically confirming that the rumors that we've all believed for the past sort of 8-9 years about rifts in the locker room from the fallout from Super Bowl 49. He's basically confirmed that those were true. So we're going to get into those comments and see what our thoughts are on those as well. But there's only one place to start. It's the quarterbacks. And do you know what? I'm going to start with Geno Smith. We're going to talk about our player first. I mean, who on earth saw that coming? That I was watching it at about, I don't know what time it kicks off, quarter past 1 our time, as Geno Smith entered the field from the sideline for the first time. My hands were in my face saying, right, just go with it. It's the start. Just whatever happens, we'll all smile. We'll all laugh through it. Just let's just get through it. And he came out. He didn't miss a pass all first half, playing like an absolute wizard. Unbelievable drive after unbelievable drive. I mean, I've got no words for him other than he is a proper team player, a situational quarterback, didn't take risks, didn't turn the football over. And how much better did the offense look without someone trying to play hero ball? I mean, it worked, man.
Yeah, okay, so we're going to keep it positive, but I'm just going to put in there, before we all get too carried away, when Geno tried playing hero ball, I was like, please stop it, because you're going to get yourself picked off. Please stop it. When the pocket was nice and clean, he was great. Mm-hmm. When he had to run out of the pocket and escape and throw on the move, let's please not do that again. Like, I was scared for the guy. But other than that, it's great for him. It's great for the team. It was great. I messaged you boys at the time, but it was great to see the offense all working together. They were all working for him. There was a ball he threw, and it was to DK's left.
Like a horizontal dive.
Yeah, and he had to extend. Now, if he half-assed that, Patrick Surtain was literally waiting for that in the bucket, pick six, and that whole game would have gone completely different. But I always go back to that play as that play showed how this team was just ready to work for each other, because DK just stretched out, did everything he possibly could to get that ball. And then you're like, all right, this offense is ready to work. This offense is ready to do anything. And then straight after that, it was like third down. And then Tyler just gets the ball, no nonsense. Let's not be cute. Roll straight down. We got the first down. This is how we're going to have to play. This is how we're going to have to settle down. And I thought it was great. I thought, like, what was he, 16 for 17 into the half? He only missed one. Or was he 17 for 17?
I think he was 17 for 17 at the half.
I thought he missed one.
Did he?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure at halftime he was 16 for 17. But that's fucking amazing.
Unbelievable.
Right? And let's face it, I ain't going to sell myself out for a bag of chips like you, James. I don't rate him. I still don't rate him. But if that O-line can stay, like, the credit goes to that O-line, man. 2 rookies absolutely kept him straight for 3 quarters. And then I think, like, I'm not a deep guy into the O-line, but all I could imagine was it kind of just like rookiness by the 4th quarter started getting away from him, tired. You know, they always say, don't they, college is different to the NFL. And I just think them kind of things told. But Charles Cross is a very, very intelligent football player, and I could guarantee that shit won't happen again. If he keeps Joey Bosa. Have I got the wrong Bosa brother for
Nick
Niners?
Bosa.
It's Nick for Niners.
Yeah, Nick Bosa.
That's how I remember it.
Yeah. If he has Nick Bosa and he keeps him contained, I can guarantee he'll keep him contained the whole game. He won't let that slip next time. He's just one of them guys who's just very switched on up there. He'll look at that and he'll just be like, that ain't happening again. Okay, I need to be switched on.
What about Geno? We're talking about the quarterback battle. We'll talk
about
then,
Josh. Talk about him. Come on.
No, Pez was actually making a really good point about Geno. That's when he deviated.
Because it's so bad to say, because I'm one of his guys. What was he saying? They wrote me off, but I ain't wrote back.
Yeah.
Or whatever. I'm one of them guys. So I don't know.
I think this is anyone who listened to the pod previously will know that I was all about Drew Lock, because I thought he had more upside. However, obviously based on Waldron's game plan, which, as I said last week, again, I'm not going to toot my own horn, but it looks like Pete, that's my God, for anyone who can't see that on YouTube, Pez was doing something.
Tooting the horn.
Yeah, well, that's what you call it. Slanging Pez's house. His wife runs away. Right. So anyway, yeah. As I said, I think this year is just Pete Carroll loosening the reins a bit. I think Waldron's finally managed to implement his game plan, his philosophy, rather than, like you said, having a QB who just tries to lob the ball for hero ball all the time. Fuck it, someone's going to be down there anyway. You know, that's not the game plan. As Pez said, as with that ball to DK, as the Tyler Lockett ball, that was 16, 17 yards, that ball to Tyler, just in open space. And Tyler took the safest option of going, I'm not losing this ball on the first drive, and just went to ground. That was the game plan. It was short games, it was efficiency, it was Geno protecting that ball and making sure that the drive was sustained, keeping their defense on the line, on the field, and keeping ours off it. Making sure we can run it up with different means. I mean, you look at the fact like DK and Tyler were hardly in this game because Geno chose to either give it to someone to try a run, which Penny wasn't super efficient. he averaged 5 yards a carry, but then he picked out his 2 tight ends for touchdowns. Now, if we were doing this pod last year, do you think those words would have come out of any of our mouths?
Well, when was
game?
The last time our 2 leading receivers were both tight ends? When was the last time that's ever happened in Seahawks history?
I'd say Russ in his rookie year, he targeted them quite a lot. And I see, trying not going like deviating off the quarterbacks, but how I see what Pete's doing here is he's treating Geno almost like a rookie again. Because
he's giving him safety blankets.
What he did with Russ was, everyone says, oh, he doesn't target the tight ends, but he did when he was younger. He did when he first came to the team.
He did on Monday as well.
Yeah.
Beck, was it Beck, who's the fullback / tight end? That Albert, I'm not even going to try and pronounce his surname, he got ball as well. So Russ does know where tight ends are in the field. He just chooses not to pick them. And I can guarantee if they don't win more games, he will bin off those tight ends and he'll just go for wide receivers.
We'll get into like that kind of stuff in a bit without getting off topic. One thing I did want to say, what you said, Josh, was about Pete loosening the reins and Waldron taking over. Did it not remind you of the Colts last year? 1 and
That's
2. It's like it's a 2-parter. So did it not remind you of the Colts last year? He did exactly the same thing, and everyone's like, "Ooh." And 2, are you not a bit concerned how the offense just completely kind of was non-existent in the second half?
Evaporated in the second half.
Like,
but yeah.
he went conservative on offense and prevent on defense, and the little things what I get frustrated about over the years in that second half kind of show me they're still there. And
yeah, I think the lack of aggression in the second half, especially in offense, was a big thing for me. Like I was hoping that they'd come out with the same surgical efficiency that Geno had in the first half, and they'd just sustain drives and keep it going. Obviously, we saw Michael Dixon twice in the second half, which tells you how the balance had sort of like how the scales had tipped. But based on what we did see, I'm still quite optimistic and positive, because that first game against Indy, when we had a full squad and everything was going well, and then we had the second game where didn't D. Eskridge get injured in the first game or in training after that?
No, so he got concussion.
Yeah.
Maybe in the first game or the second game.
Yeah. And then we couldn't run any jet sweeps or any of the other stuff that Waldron wanted to do. So Russ just reverted back to type. That's where things started going. Because if you look at that first game against the Colts last year, Waldron's offense had tight end play, it had short slants, it had like dig routes and routes out to the sideline. It had the running back running through gaps. It had these sweeps and these end arounds, and it looked like good mixed up efficient football, which is what we got today. The difference is the man who was doing all the end arounds was the only one that could do it, whereas now we've got Eskridge and we've got James's man, Marquise Brown. Marquise Goodwin. Not Marquise Brown. No.
He's better than him. He's better than Marquise Brown.
Yeah, Marquise Goodwin. So that's 2 we've got there. So it allows the game plan to keep flowing. And we said this when we went through the roster, that they've got a backup for everything now. Anyway,
I'm not going to get too down on it. It's just,
I know, you better not.
No, it's just Josh rattled off like a load of different things from the Colts game, and to say that D. Eskridge derailed the whole game plan, the second half kind of niggles at me with it. Like Geno like kind of stalled. I think like to bring it back onto the quarterbacks without I don't want to go down a rabbit hole on playing things. To bring it back to the quarterback really is the way they played in the first half is how Geno needs to play. Like he needs to play at that level. So it doesn't need, like I always say, it's Pete, because Pete's the head coach and he's renowned for getting involved in shit. It just needs whoever slows the tempo down. And I'm not even saying high tempo, I'm just saying Geno's tempo. That first half was essentially Geno's perfect tempo, and it wasn't even that fast. It was just efficient. You start slowing that down, a quarterback like Geno isn't the kind of quarterback who can go cold and go warm again. Essentially, like, for example, a younger Russ. He could be called for 3 quarters and then just erupt in the 4th quarter. Geno can't do that, and it was shown in that game. So a bit of like, yeah, let's all get carried away. It's a great win. Not like Josh said, the eternal optimist would wish that the game was won. Anyone who said, I knew it for a fact, I personally disagree. But taking away the overexcitement of the first game, because I'm not asked. I'm not one of these guys who I can go 1-16 and I'll be fucking happy because we beat Russ. I don't give a shit about Russell Wilson anymore. In my opinion, I don't fucking care. What Pete has done by doing what he did in this game is he set a precedent, and if he doesn't live to that precedent, you think I've ranted about him in previous years, I'm going to rant about him even more now, because he's shown to me he can do it. He can do it with Geno.
Yeah.
Well,
so
you're taking a massive factor out of this. He can do it with Geno, but he has other teams to play that can do it against him. He could do it with Geno against a Broncos side with a first-year head coach who, let's face it, the last play of the game proved that he's not there yet.
He's a rookie.
No,
yeah.
Basically, and then you had Russell Wilson working with a new team. Now we're going to come up against some, as we did the predictions last year or last week. We're going to come up against some different sides that are going to do us. We're still going to go 4-0 to start. All right.
I'm going to say 5 after watching that Saints team. That Saints team was fucking tough.
Oh, that was awful.
Yeah, they were awful.
Yeah. But yeah, I think we'll still have a decent-ish record, but we're going to come undone some of the better teams.
So what I'm saying here is I'm not getting carried away and saying playoffs, even though Pete said it's not a rebuild, we are still the same team. So technically, in his eyes, we are a playoff team still. But I'm actually siding with you here, Josh, and saying the Waldron element, it's proven, a bit like how we spoke about in previous pods, is Geno's a Jared Goff. Just let Waldron...
Game manager.
Just let Waldron do what he needs to do. Now, I think a massive piece, what we didn't see much of, was Penny's going to be a massive factor what's going to help Geno out. And even though you said he didn't do much, he didn't do much statistically because his 2 big runs got called back for flags. His 2 breakout runs got called back for flags. You add them into his stats, and he had a really good game. That burst is still there. That make that gap, and that's
26 yards. I got called back. I felt so bad for it.
It was a joke. It was a joke. Abe Lucas essentially held on for a millisecond too long and pancaked the guy. Like,
I think because he pancaked him that well, it looked like he must have fouled him.
He must. It's a joke, but but don't get me wrong. That's not me. Like, that speech isn't me saying, "Oh yeah, I expect the playoffs." It's not that. It's you've proven you can do it. Don't get involved. Leave Waldron to work with Geno. Once you start game managing, you've not got the quarterback to game manage. You've got a quarterback who's essentially like old legs. You get them warmed up, and they can go for a 10-mile run. As soon as you slow them down at mile 5, they seize back up, and then they're never getting going again. You know what I mean?
Good reference, Pez. I like it. It's normally me who comes out with those kind of... I like that. I know you said we don't want to spend too much time talking about him, and I don't either, to be honest, but we have to sort of give our opinions a little bit on what we saw from Russell Wilson, because he turned up to the to Lumen Field looking like Silver Surfer out of Fantastic Four.
He looked like a 16-year-old going to a prom.
He did a little bit.
That's all I could think. He looked like he deserves to be Jim from American Pie. That's exactly what he wore to prom. Pretty much identical. That type of shit suit, wide lapel with an odd coloured dicky bow that didn't match the whole attire. As soon as I saw that picture, I just went, "What a knob!" And
he's wore that as well, and it just feels like he thought he was going to win so much by turning up in a suit like that, looking that cocky and that swag. And look, he turned up, and his stat line isn't too bad. 29 passes for out of 42 attempts completed, 340 yards and a touchdown. I didn't think he played bad in the game, Russ.
He played well.
He did play well. I'm interested in what you think in some of the things that I saw that have carried over to Denver from what we saw in Seattle, in terms of there was a couple of times where I thought he escaped out of the pocket a bit too quickly and in clean pockets when he could have stood in there and done what Geno did, especially with a Disley touchdown, the way he stood in and climbed that pocket under that pressure to find Disley. We know Russell can escape a little bit too quickly at times. I saw that once or two times. Obviously, the game management at the end, we've seen that as well. And there was a few other bits and bobs from Russ that I saw that have carried over. What did we think of him? I mean, did he play better or worse than what you thought, or what's your thoughts?
So for me personally, how I watched it, I noticed a few little things when the camera panned in on him, and he's made a rod for his own back, in my opinion, because that offense, even though he can do all his promotional videos on his Instagram, that they're all at his facility and they're catching bombs down the field and they're all in sync and, oh, we love this guy, we love that guy. It's not at all. It's nothing like that. Look, listen to loads of pods. It's like, it's good to see Russ still burns down the clock to 5 seconds and he's rushing off plays and stuff like that. So, but do you know what all this is? In my opinion, how I look at it, they're his traits he's built up in Seattle. And do you know what he's done? It's like a boxer. It's Deontay Wilder when he fought Tyson Fury. And what did Tyson Fury say to him? You can say you've changed all you want, but once you get punched in the face, you revert to type. He, in some...
That was a good reference, Pez.
On some drives...
Yeah, he's on it, isn't he?
I'm on it, aren't I? I've had my pasta, I've had my bolognese, I'm pumped here. No, but on some drives, when it zoomed in on him, like in the huddle, he was doing too much for a team that know each other. And do you know why? Do you know what's let him down? Russ is too big to play in the playoff, too big to play in the preseason. None of them starters played in the preseason, hardly. He did his same routine what he did in Seattle. What he did is he fell into his comfort zone. And you could tell that last play where it was timeout and they fucked it all up with the field goal and stuff. To be honest, I understand why the head coach did it, because Russ is like doing antler horns on his head. He's doing all this shit with like 3 seconds on the clock. Cortland Sutton didn't have a fucking clue what he was doing. Cortland Sutton's like, here, where? No, because they don't know each other yet.
Did you hear that quote from, was it Cortland Sutton, who said we have 2 plays? We have the one that's drawn up and then the one that Russ thinks about there and then, which is basically the scribble play. And Pez hit the nail on the head. I don't think so much it's more, whilst it could be seen as reverted to type, I just think it's who Russ is. So Russ complained about his O-line constantly in Seattle, but he got sacked, was it 3 times in this game?
Yeah, it was about 3 or 4 times.
His O-line's tosh, that's why.
But if you've got an O-line that bad, then you'd want to make sure that you weren't getting sacked and you want to do things to prevent that. Whereas Russ has this habit of, again, hero ball, holding on, scrambling, trying to make something out of nothing, and then he gets smacked by Cody Barton or Nwosu. So 2 sacks is what we got. 2 is better than nothing. We got some quarterback hits, tackles for loss, but it's all down to Russ just desperately trying to scramble around, not having faith in his O-line, making something for himself. And I think that is just who he is now. I think it's less reverting to type. That is just his type. That's what he is. And it's a shame because obviously for us, he was electric. We've put a load of stuff on like social media, just ripping him. One of our Instagram posts is still blowing up with people who have varied opinions. But it's just what it is. We inherently appreciate he brought us a Super Bowl. He took us back to another one. It was part of a team that did. I can't say it was him individually, but it was a quarterback, and he was a quarterback with us for years afterwards, and he won us some good games. But at the end of the day, Pete Carroll drew a line in the sand and went, "You can't play our ball. You only want to play your ball. There's too many scribble plays." He was like, "I'm just going to cut my losses because I'm not going to pay you $50 million and cripple my team for the next God knows how many years." Right decision. Sorry, Russ. Move on. Enjoy Denver.
Yeah.
Just on that, I see, because when he started the game, then this is what I mean by the reverting to type. If you remember when he started the game, everyone was on like Twitter and that, everyone was just like, "Oh, why is he doing these dink and dunk? Why is he throwing over the middle field? Why is he doing all this?" Right? That's when the game was going well. I honestly, I believe that even though, yes, you are right, but it is from his time in Seattle, he has grown into being that guy. But I also believe he isn't just solely that guy, because he showed at the start of the game that he can do things different.
Watch his Wisconsin Badgers tape. That's all I'm going to say. When I watched him in the Rose Bowl against, I think it was against Oregon, and he was quarterback. That's when I pegged him and said, I'd love to have this guy at quarterback because of that ability to scramble and do the scribble play, because he can get out of that. That is what he is. That is who he is. It's been refined to a point where he's more as a quarterback now. He's on that cusp of elite, where he can do all the things, which is absolutely fine. But inherently, that is him. He will try and work his way out of any trouble in the pocket by moving out of the pocket and around. And he's done that since college. It's who he is. That's the first time I saw him.
I just think the first part of the game showed differences of him, and I just think it's the simple fact is you could see he looked confused. His eyes were like, you could see it in his eyes. He just didn't fully know what he was getting from what he had, and that's why he reverted back to type.
Probably because he couldn't hear anything.
Well, that's a fucking other mad thing, isn't it?
I love that. I love the fact that the offensive lineman turned around to Russ and went, "I can't hear."
Yeah, but then this is it. So Russ is used to it, whereas no one else is.
Russ is used to the defense, our defense having it when their offense has got the ball, not when he's got the ball.
No, but what I mean, look at it from this angle. Russ is so used to that noise. So this will, but you'll like this, Josh. I'll put it into your context. Do you know how you say he's an egomaniac and he's self-centered and he loves himself? Look at it from this point. He's so used to the Seattle noise that he just thinks it's sound, whereas he doesn't realize that the rest of his team,
That's why there were so many delays of game. No, I'm sorry, I'm calling that, mate. As a sportsman, I don't care what people say. If you have did you see some of the decibel meters? If you're a professional sportsman, you're trying to concentrate, or amateurs, any sportsman, you're trying to concentrate with that amount of sound, and you've got to think that a sports field's a bowl, so that sound's just coming straight down to you. He's right in the middle of that. He's at the epicenter, right in the middle here. I don't care what anyone says. You could be as used to it as you want, being on the sideline going, "Hey, I'm used to this. I hear it every week." But you're not the one who's having it aimed at you whilst you're trying to concentrate and actually make a play as a professional sportsman. You can't say you're used to it. Not a chance.
No, but look at it from the point of he is used to the noise, but the rest of his team aren't used to the noise. So I'm saying it's quite a selfish thing that why his linemen are turning around to him, because he just expects them to understand, because he's so used to playing in Seattle. Are you understanding where I'm coming from? I'm not backing him up. I'm not defending him. I'm actually saying you can look at it from the point of he selfishly thinks, I know what I'm doing, but the rest of my team don't, because they can't fucking think. But he's not commanding.
But he's the offensive captain, so he should be doing something about it. And the fact if his lineman goes, "I can't hear," there's something else needs to happen. But Russ didn't accommodate for that. So there were so many delays of game, which is Russ all over. This time with noise. I'm not taking it, Pez. I'm sorry. Nah.
Yeah, but you're trying to make out like I'm defending the guy.
No, I'm not. No, I'm disagreeing with what you said about him being used to the noise, because you can be used to the noise. If you could go to Lumen Field every single week and be used to that level of noise in the crowd, as a trainer, as a coach, absolutely fine. If you're in the middle of that field trying to do your job and everyone is screaming at you, the percussive noise of that is going to put you off. Russ, the lineman, anyone. And there was no communication. That's why the linemen were going, "No idea." That's probably why his wide receivers didn't have a clue what they were doing either.
That's what I'm trying to say. I don't know. Doesn't matter.
I'm now going to have to rechange the title of the podcast back to Review and Rant. So cheers, lads.
Right.
Let's go back to the offense then, because let's not bother about Russell Wilson anymore. Offense. I've got to start with the two. Well, I'll start with all of the offensive linemen. I was going to pick out Lucas and Cross there, but I think the whole of the offensive line deserves to be mentioned in the same bracket. I thought all of them were excellent. Phil Haynes had 2 early penalties, which he quickly corrected. That wasn't a long-standing point in the game. Like I say, other than that one really silly holding one on Abe Lucas, which I'm not saying is a penalty. So for me, Abe Lucas had a penalty-free game. You had your 2 rookie starting tackles having a penalty-free game in their NFL debut in a game like that, in a situation like that. So impressive. The only 2 sacks that Denver got were Bradley Chubb's late in the game, where Charles Cross, like you said, Pez, potentially getting fatigued, the rookie pressure and stuff like that. Completely understand why. For the rest of the game, for the first 3 quarters and some of the fourth quarter, Charles Cross had Bradley Chubb in his back pocket, which again, so impressive. Austin Blythe held down the centre position and played that position much better than what we've seen in recent years. And Gabe Jackson played really well again at right guard. And this is what we needed. If we're going to be more competitive in games this year and put ourselves in the best chance to win games this year, the offensive line has to give someone like a Geno Smith time to at least be the quarterback that Geno Smith can be, and do what we sort of want him to do and expect him to do, which is just game manage. But we've got to give him the time to do that. And the offensive line was brilliant. So for me, those were the guys that stood out. And again, I know we've mentioned them, the tight ends. Is that a point to be really excited by? Because I think we mentioned in previous pods down the line and last season that we were a little bit too sort of a bit of a one-trick pony on offense in terms of throwing the ball down the sidelines to either DK Metcalf or Tyler Lockett and not targeting tight ends and not opening up the middle of the field. I mean, you saw it on Monday Night Football. Colby Parkinson getting into open space with some really nice play designs.
1 of 5.
1 of 5.
Here he goes.
The hot takes.
Although after watching Nwosu's performance, I'm not sure my hot take of Marfe getting more sacks than him is going to come true.
Well, don't worry, because Jamal Adams is absolutely knackered me. So cheers, Jamal. The first time I back him and say, you know what, interception leader, he goes down and gets injured, and brilliant.
Out for the season.
Yeah,
it doesn't look like Jordan Brooks is challenging you either, seeing as he's an open field monster. I don't think they're chucking him through the line at any time.
No, I think we're all going to be a little bit of egg on our faces on some of them by the looks of the early proceedings. But no, I think again, it's all coming back to me on offense about giving Geno the best chance to get us into position in games where we can be competitive, and certain things needed to have happened. The offensive line needs to have held up better than what it has done. And other players other than DK Metcalf and Lockett had to have got involved in the offensive game, and the running game was there with Rashard Penny. Just overall, other than Geno, how impressed were we by the offensive skill players and the offensive line?
To be honest, I thought it was a very workmanlike performance. If I'm being completely honest, you didn't get flashes from your DK apart from his horizontal catch. Lockett was relatively quiet. I thought Geno picked his targets well by using the tight ends, because let's face it, everyone's going to target DK and Lockett because it's DK and Lockett. Parkinson, I was very impressed with, picked up some lovely catches and some decent yardage. Disley, again, he's just Uncle Will just does a job. I expected more from Noah Fant. And Rashard Penny. Like Pez said earlier, Penny had a good game, or it might be New James, but if that 26-yarder wasn't pulled back, his average looked a lot better.
You just jumping on Penny there, is 12 for 60, so you're talking
5 yards carry.
Yeah, but you're talking 13 for 86, aren't you? Completely. But didn't he get pulled back twice?
Yeah.
So really, you're talking a 100-yard game.
Yeah.
In effect,
he's keeping it up there with the top 5 boys.
And I reckon it'll be there or thereabouts when it comes to sort of the midway sort of part of the season. I was looking at the numbers and thinking, if he got 60 yards this game, there's 17 games. If he goes throughout the whole season, at 60 yards a game, he's still a 1,000-yard rusher. 1,020 yards. But there's going to be games where he's going to break off and only have 200.
Mm-hmm.
So if he stays healthy, I think he'll be brilliant. I mean, he showed flashes of what he can do. I'm looking forward to seeing what Ken Walker brings to the table as well.
He's going to be a beast against Samson.
Do you know who I was like? You talk about the O-line, very impressed with them, but I was really impressed with Travis Homer picking up that blitz that then allowed Geno the time to step into the pocket and find Will Dissly with no one around him, and that was all Travis Homer basically yeeting himself in front of
like
the rusher.
He got flattened, didn't he?
Like a sacrificial lamb he was. He was just like, take me.
Whee!
I think Geno literally stepped on top of him and over him to get the ball to Dissly, didn't he?
Do you know what? You
Travis
are right
Homer's
with
got
Travis.
fullback written all over him at some point.
Yeah. When Ken comes in and Penny and Ken come the 1-2, because I was so disappointed that Dallas
wasn't involved at all, was he? Really?
But we'll get onto him later when we defense and special teams, so we'll leave him because he's a fucking monster. But on Travis Homer, he nearly killed himself for the team. Great. But then he also, was it in the second half where he dissected that blitz coming through and he just absolutely stonewalled the guy to give Geno time to, I think it was a pass to Penny, but he played out of his skin. Him and DJ, it's literally like they've sat down, they've talked to each other and gone, these motherfuckers think that they can get rid of us, but we're about to show them what they're missing if they get rid of us. And they just are, they're like a tandem. They're like evil twin brothers who just want to go and hurt everyone.
It's like the Bash Brothers from Mighty Ducks, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, on special teams, like if DJ Dallas obviously on offense, not great. He didn't do a lot, but on special, yeah, exactly. On special teams, I know that because my fantasy score for him, but he reflected it.
Why did you even play him?
Well, because I thought Penny, you need an RB2. Yeah, I know, stupid, overthought it. But on special teams, Dallas, oh my God, that tackle
killed a man.
He killed a man.
We'll save that. We'll save that for a second because just on the offense, before we leave the offense and gush over DJ Dallas, one guy I was really impressed with was Colby Parkinson. Now, I was speaking to Brett yesterday, and I must have been speaking very passionately about him because it ended up turning into some gush fest over Parkinson. I loved him, and he was my favourite player, and I was just like, I did last year. He was in my hot take section.
Yeah, he was.
He had me off clean, like.
And now Brett's going to think that you really love Parkinson and listen to more of these pods and go, lying bastard. Saw Jordan Brooks and Kenneth Walker.
Don't you worry. I got him straight, just in case Jordan's listening. Like, get him straight. He's still my number one boy, yeah. But no, Colby Parkinson. I messaged you two, and as I was trying to get the message out, like, fuck it, oh my god. He is a monster. You get that man in a bit of open space and get his wheels going. Just that catch. He only just got into stride and he literally destroyed that defender in front of him. He's put size on. He's 6'7". He's fast. He's got great hands. You get him space in the open field. I dare any defender to try and take him down first. No, I'll call it right now. If he gets more open field plays where he's got room to run, that first tackle will not bring him down.
Well, how dare
he is a monster. And I was trying to message you, and I was like, oh my God, we need to get the ball more to Colby Parkinson. He is a massive threat. Touchdown. I was like, there you are.
And it was great play design as well. It was perfect. Up on the wheel, Geno rolling out to his right on that little slant, and whatever you want to call it. And he's there. It's what we've been saying for so long.
2 seasons. Yeah. 2 seasons. 2 seasons we've been saying this. Me and James, and then Josh has joined the party. We're in a Parkinson party, and he's a monster.
That doesn't sound great.
And talking about efficiency, it doesn't matter. That's what we're all about.
He's on a roll. Just keep going.
Right, and then talking about the offense and spreading it, check these numbers out. Because when I looked at the stats, I was like, oh, Fucking Jesus. He did spread that ball. So, DK Metcalf, 7 of 7. Noah Fant, 3 of 4. Noah Fant, Tyler Lockett, 3 of 4. Disley, 3 of 3. Penny, 2 of 3. Parkinson, 2 of 2. Goodwin, 2 of 2. Eskridge, 1 and 2. To spread the ball around between 8 different offensive players and be that efficient where they all either caught them all or just lost one is very, very impressive. Very impressive.
Very impressive, and it bodes really well for the rest of the season. Before we leave the offense, just a quick name, one of yours, man of the match from offense. If you had to pick one player that you would give a man of the match award to offense, who would it be? Geno, for you, Josh? Pez?
I'm just going to say the whole O-line.
The whole O-line?
Because without that O-line playing out of their skin,
mm-hmm.
Geno didn't do what Geno did.
It's
no
tough.
offense to the bloke, but that O-line, I've not seen that O-line play as hard as they did in Seattle for seasons. We have not had an O-line who just digged out all game. Fourth quarter got a little bit sloppy, got a little bit messy, but so fucking what? We're used to that in the first quarter. We can get that and we can build that unit. We play the Rams late. If you can solidify that unit and make that solid, dare Aaron Donald to try and get through that thing.
Yeah, I was going to give it to, I think I was probably going to give it to Charles Cross, but do you know what, you swayed me. I'm going to give it to the whole offensive line. I think, like you said, without them that game, I think we probably lose that. And as Pez picked up on in that little conversation, he did have a sit down with Brett Davern from the Take 12 podcast earlier this week. And we're gonna edit into this podcast now a little segment of his little chat with Brett, talking all about the season so far, the game from Monday Night Football, and the what we've potentially got planned, and what certainly they've got planned at the Take 12 podcast for the trip to Munich in November for the Seahawks and Bucks game. So please do take a listen and join us again after the little intermission of listening to that, and we'll get onto the defense.
Hey, Seahawk fans, it's Brett Davern from the Take 12 podcast, here to let you guys know about our trip to Germany. Our podcast, the Take 12 podcast, is going to Germany for the Munich game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We have tickets to the game that we are selling as part of our travel packages, which also include 3 nights in a hotel in Munich, and also a fantasy-style flag football game where you get to play football with 6 Seahawks legends who will also be on the ground in Munich. It's going to be Lofa Tatupu, KJ Wright, Leroy Hill, David Hawthorne, Sean Locklear, and Matt McCoy. And also a few other Seahawks legends are checking their schedules, so we'll update that if it changes. But we're doing dinners out. We're doing parties. We're giving you guys gift packages and baskets. We're having custom flag football jerseys for that game. And like I said, we have the actual tickets to the actual game on Sunday, which rounds out our trip. We also have travel packages that don't even include the hotel. So if you already live in Europe, if you're already planning on being in Munich, but you're looking for things to do, if you want to play in a flag football game with Seahawks legends, just come do that. If you already have hotel accommodations, we have the package without the hotel also. All of the information is at 12sinmunich.com. That's 12S in Munich. So check it out, and I hope to see all of you in Munich. Did you watch the game?
Yeah. Got up one in the morning. One in the morning.
That was okay. Real talk. When was my last Seahawk favorite game? Like, that's my newest favorite game, and I'm trying really hard to think of the last one that wasn't like the real glory days. You know what I mean? Like, what was the last just like regular season, just epic? I mean, that was a playoff game. That was like a playoff atmosphere. I wasn't in the building. Lofa was in the building. He already told us on our podcast about how crazy it was there. You were watching on TV. You saw it. I mean, that was bananas, man.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I had it on like volume 1 because my son was upstairs, and we're only in like a 2-bedroom house, and I'm like, I'm going mental on mute in my head. I'm like, it was insane. And do you know what? I was so worried because in the off season you heard all these things about training camp and no one's turning up and this, that, and the other, and you're just like, oh, are they just? Because let's face it, it's like I said on Twitter, anywhere, anyone. So the eternal optimist, Josh. When you meet Josh, he's the eternal optimist. Like we did our predictions show, our last podcast, and he was like, "We're beating the Broncos. It's just eternal." So I don't buy into anyone who turns around to me and says, "I knew we were going to win." Like Lofa tweeted, "I had a feeling." Well, I listen to your podcast. Lofa has a feeling every single week.
No, Lofa tweeted in the morning. I woke up with a good feeling, and I texted him. I was like, "Does this mean you think we're gonna win?" And he's like, "Bro, we're definitely gonna win." And then, I mean, but that's his attitude. Like, I think the first conversation I ever had with Lofa, I said something like, hopefully this goes well. And he's like, "Well, not with that attitude." Like, actually, can we talk about our Germany trip, just you and me, real quick? Like, go part of this a little bit. I mean, are you coming to Germany with us?
Oh yeah, 100%.
You better be. We got a party in Germany, dude. I mean, for real, you guys, like our podcast, Take 12 podcast. I mean, if you guys we partner up on this thing, but like let's go to this game in Munich with 51 rabid Seahawk fans. That's the limit on the ticket packages we can sell because that's how many people fit on the bus. That's why we're limited. It's also ties it nicely with Lofa's jersey number, but like we got limited space. We have packages with hotels, without hotels. All of the packages include all of the parties. There's exclusive events. 6 Seahawks are coming with us. You guys are coming with us. People who live in Europe already need to get on board with this. Come play football with us. You guys want to play football with KJ, right? We rented out a field. We have the equipment. He's already in. He's coming. Let's do this thing. Can I tell you something? Okay. We haven't even put this online yet. After the game, we are all leaving that stadium and going to a super VIP after party that I think they're only letting in like 500 or 600 people. It's like the official Seahawks crazy German boosters official. No one can get into this party event, and we have partnered with them a little bit and we're getting our people into that because we're bringing Lofa and because we're bringing KJ and all of that. I mean, just that party alone and the amount of NFLers that are going to be at that party that aren't even Seahawks. There's people coming who are like active players. They're on a bye week, they told us. And you get into that for the price of our ticket package, which is not very much more, if not less, than what the Seahawks are selling. And the Seahawks official travel package, I'm sorry, I'm ranting again. You guys.
It's all right. Go for it, mate. You go for it.
The official Seahawks package that they're selling doesn't have any former players attached to it. It doesn't have a flag football game attached to it where you get your own custom jersey made for the event that all these guys can sign for you. That's a one-of-a-kind limited edition thing that you can't get anywhere else in the world. And it's as is part of our travel package that we're not just jacking the price up on and screwing people out of their money. You're traveling with 6 Seahawks. That should be priceless.
And of course, as Brett has mentioned in there, the Seahawks are going to Germany. Please do, because we've collaborated with the Take 12 podcast, so we really need your help here. If you're still waiting to get a ticket for the Seahawks and Bucks in Germany, if you know anyone who does and would be interested in their package, if you use code WeTalk12 at the checkout on their website, you'll get 12% off the package deal, and it will help us out massively as well, working alongside them. So if you know, if you are, yourself, you know someone who'll enjoy that, or you know someone further afield who needs a ticket, anything, you yourself, anything, please do go to the website and use our code. And yeah, let's get to the defense.
We'll be chucking it up on the socials as well. So you don't need to try and remember the code. We're going to put some posts out. We're going to put some posters out where it gives you a little bit of information where you can go to buy these tickets. The Take 12 website, their Twitter, you can get all the links through there, but we're going to post a load of stuff. So if you just check our socials out, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, they'll all be there for you.
They'll all be there. We're going to be pushing it from now until November, really. So you've got plenty
get to
of
go
time.
and play flag football with KJ Wright.
KJ,
now, if you don't think
Lofa,
that's worth of it on its own,
then
I don't know what is. He's just retired. He is fresh.
Legend.
Like any new old Seahawk, like to spend the weekend. You're spending the weekend with these players.
Mm-hmm.
You're spending the weekend with them.
Watching the game with them, after party.
You're drinking with them, you're partying with them, you're eating with them, you're playing flag football, you're on the game with them.
Brilliant.
Like, if that doesn't sell it, I don't know. Go and find a new team.
It's an awesome package. Go and find a new team. It's an awesome package. It's a truly unique, once-in-a-lifetime experience. So please do go and check it out, and use code WeTalk12 at the discount at checkout if you do fancy going. Right, let's get to the defense. For me, there's only one. I mean, I've said there's only one place to start. We could start in multiple places actually, but for me, there's a player that we have to talk about above any, and potentially the guy that went as far as anyone on that defense in terms of who won us the game. It must be Uchenna Nwosu. I'm so pleased. I called it when we signed him that I think he's a really decent player, a really smart pickup for what the Seahawks are trying to build. Young linebacker who's really solid. One of those names in the NFL that nobody's really heard of unless you were a Chargers fan. But Chargers fans all knew how good he was. They all wanted to keep him. A guy who always he reads really well on the PFF grades. You can see he's a good player, but doesn't make the highlight reel every week. So people haven't heard of him. But you could just tell going and watching his film, he's a really, really good player. And my goodness me, did he step up when we needed him to on Monday Night Football. 7 tackles, 1 sack, 1 pass defend, and 1 absolutely crucial forced fumble at the goal line. I mean, how impressive was he? How impressive was the entire defensive line? We'll start with the defensive line. How impressed were you by those guys and Nwosu and these linebackers?
I mean, to be honest, it was the first showing of the new defensive system, wasn't it? And Apuna, I thought, was quite quiet, just to put it out there.
Yeah.
Al Woods was, I'm going to use the phrase again, workmanlike.
Mm-hmm.
But he came up with some critical stops.
Yeah,
that stop on the 1 yard line where he just pushed that right guard right back into Williams was one of the highlights for me, because without that would have been a touchdown all day. But he pushed him back about 3 yards. Fantastic. Shelby Harris tried to do whatever he could and gave one of the best post-match interviews I've ever seen.
I was going to say, he should have got man of the match for that post-match interview.
What else would you like to say? Let's ride.
That's right. Just looking straight down the camera. That's why you don't trade with Denver. That's your fault.
Don't train one of your defensive linemen to the opposite team.
Yeah.
What a dude. But yeah, I thought, the surprise for me was, and obviously I said in the last pod, a hot take, we'll get a new middle linebacker. Cody Barton.
Mm.
That's 2 games. Last game of last season where I thought he showed out, and this game where he got a sack. I'm pretty sure got a tackle for loss and 10 tackles, I want to say. I need to 8 tackles. 8 tackles, 2 assists, 1 sack.
10 in total, don't they? Because they just banned them all together.
Yeah. But I thought it was fantastic. What a compliment to Jordan Brooks. Like Pez said, Brooks is just a midfield monster. He can shoot an A-gap if he wants to, but why, when you've got him there with such a burst, send Cody to the line to snuff things out, because his run defense I thought was brilliant as well. He's the one that snuffed out that Javonte Williams run off. Was it a screen? Brilliant. Darrell Taylor had quite a quiet game, but we'll let him off because we know he's going to come back.
He made some mistakes. He made some some big yardage mistakes. Because I think something I'm going to use Josh's thing, what he said in the last podcast, his little bit. If the linebackers have loads of tackles, that means the D-line hasn't done that well. Who are the leading tacklers of this team? Anyone tell me?
I don't know. Pez, tell me.
What, for this game? It was Cody Barton. Well, in order, it was Jordan Brooks and Cody Barton.
Yeah. No need for the patronising comment there, James.
I didn't know.
I'll deal with you after.
I genuinely didn't know.
No, but it was them again. I have no issue with that, because I could watch Jordan Brooks tackle in the open field all game, because he's just a beast at it, right? But the D-line was up and down. up and down. But do you know what I liked compared to all the other years was the D-line was up and down, but they still produced. They still produced quarterback hits. They still produced sacks. They still produced. They're the numbers we've been missing for so many seasons. Oh, yeah, they got really good pressure, but they never did fuck all. But this game, first game, opening season, and we know about this defense. This defense is Pete Carroll's defense, no matter who you shape up in the coordinator. Clint Hurts brought the aggression, but it's still the way Pete Carroll wants it to be played. So we do know that this defense is only going to get better.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this year this defense is going to get better in the first 4 games, not all the way half of the season, and then they miraculously take a turnaround. This team needs that aggression. I think some people like saw it as a negative, like they were too aggressive, and then like they were missing tackles, and yeah, they were sloppy at the start, but they got their stuff together, and they started locking it down. And that's something we only, for the last 2-3 seasons, that's something we've only seen halfway through the year, back end of the year. It's like, where's this team been? But it's already there. Game week 1, we're already there.
What I'll say on, sorry, Pez, what I'll say on Cody Barton as well, whilst we're sort of briefly on him. I did think, and what I've always kind of held my opinion of Cody is that he's poor in pass coverage. And I do think he was still taken advantage of in pass coverage at times. And my reason for, I'm going to say, not that I hated him. I don't hate him. But I didn't believe that he should have been a part of the starting lineup moving forward last year. I think he wasn't used around the line of scrimmage as much, and he was tucked away in deeper field situations where his pass coverage ability was getting exploited too much. And I think you've got to now look at Ken Norton for that as opposed to maybe Cody Barton. You saw it on Monday Night Football. I thought Cody Barton played a lot closer to the line of scrimmage. He was a lot more effective in the run game, and then you saw that sort of shooting up the gap to sack Russell Wilson. If that's how we're going to use Cody Barton, then he looks like a really solid player next to Jordan Brooks. I just don't want to see him dropped into pass coverage all that often because I think he could get taken advantage of. That's all I'm going to say on Cody.
You took the words out of my mouth. I was just about to get on to the linebackers. I was just about to get on to that point. I remember when Cody first came in and going after the quarterback was something that got him noticed, where all the fans were like, oh, wicked. And then he took the big injury. And then by the time he came back, the defense had changed and the linebackers were expected to do coverage and stuff. And he's not good in coverage. He's okay in open field tackling, but he's not that great.
Yeah.
How they used him on Monday night is exactly how you use Cody. Now, I'm very biased, and Jordan Brooks, if you go and watch his college tape, no, but
you're not biased towards Brooks. What about?
No, listen. All joking aside, you go and watch his college tape, and that's what Jordan Brooks used to do. Middle linebacker, captain of Texas Tech, and he used to shoot through gaps and destroy everything, running backs, quarterback, anything.
Mm-hmm.
But do you know what? And at first I was just like, I want to see Brooks doing that. But as the game went on, and he's a signal caller of the defense, first game, thought he did a brilliant job, like running that defense. I thought he had him. The start of the game was a bit meh. Was that his fault? Was that the player's fault? But they really tightened up. And I thought, great to see for his first game as signal caller. But watching this game, like we've all highlighted, Cody Barton excels on the line of scrimmage. Jordan Brooks I put it out on Twitter and I will back myself on the podcast. He is, in my opinion, one of the best open field tacklers in the league.
Yeah, he is.
His stats showed it last year. So if anyone wants to come at me, but his stats showed it last year. He was the best Seahawk and one of the best players in the league at open field tackling. I think that's why he got his All-Pro vote. And that's why you always leave Jordan Brooks in the middle of the field to dissect any runs. Because like Josh said, who was there when Javonte Williams was just about to take it down the sideline? And I mean, there was no one there to stop him. Because Michael, you go and watch the play, and I'm pretty sure from my tired memory, that Michael Jackson was dueling up with the wide receiver behind him, and that would have been enough to let Javonte Williams get full speed and burn past him. But it was Brooks. It was always Brooks who was the first one in there to either slow him down or stop him before another guy came in and helped him. And that is exactly how you play that tandem. You play them exactly how they played them on Monday night. Obviously, teams change, but for most teams, that's how you play them. Full stop. Because a lot of these teams in this league have got move around quarterbacks and all that kind of shit. Don't try and be fancy with them. Keep it like that. Brilliant, in my opinion. Them two.
Yeah, it's what we said. It's a defense that's felt like it's a coming of age this year under Clint Hurt, new management, new ideas, and we, like you said, Pez, it is still Pete Carroll's defense, but I think Clint has addressed the sort of things that we were saying, that playing certain players out of positions and putting them in situations that we know they'll get exploited in, like Cody and pass coverage. I think Clint has quite clearly spotted that and knew that, and has come in and said, I'm not going to play Cody in pass coverage. We're going to get him to the line of scrimmage.
Sorry to just quickly butt in, because you made a very good point there. When I've been in the gym doing my cardio, I've been like, it's fucking boring as shit in it. So I've been watching old Seahawks tape. I've been watching, like, because they all keep talking about 2012, 2000 this. So I went back and started watching them games. And one thing that this team has been missing forever, what Clint Hurt is addressing. So whether you like the aggressiveness or hate the aggressiveness, I love it. But you go back and watch from when Pete Carroll first came into this team to when he started accumulating Cam, Earl, Sherm, all them guys. You just go and watch highlights of them games. They run round aggressive as anything. He's addressed what we've been missing for so many years on this defense, is aggression. He's brought the aggressive nature back. You go and watch them, they got flagged all the time because they're just whacking people. They're doing what they want. Cam's coming up to the line and just smoking guys at the line. Like, you're watching it, I'm watching it, and I'm just like, I'm getting jacked. It's like you get jacked watching it. And you hit the nail on the head. Clint is coming and he's brought the aggressiveness back. And it brings its holes. It's a fresh new defense. It's young. They're going to get eager. They're going to get excited. They're going to miss a tackle. They're going to miss an assignment. They might get exposed. But as the season goes on, like I said before, with this team, as they tighten up, they're going to stay aggressive and all the gaps are going to get closed. And then they're going to get noticed as being a really young, up-and-coming, potential end-of-season top 10 defense to then ascend. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's just really, really encouraging signs that, you know, it's not going to be same old, and problems are now going to start to be addressed. There is another player that I do want to mention before we get onto the cornerbacks. Safety Josh Jones. Jamal Adams obviously went down injured in the game and looks like he's going to be done for the year. And that's when I really thought, oh no, now Russ is going to potentially exploit this defense now over the middle of the field with Josh Jones in there. Even though we've been hearing all preseason that he's looked really good in camp, beating out a few players for that roster spot and all that. The reality is it's his first game for the Seahawks. He's coming in this kind of situation. I thought if that's a player that Russ is potentially going to target now and exploit. And he wasn't exploited once all game for me. I thought he was absolutely brilliant. Down again in those sort of in those goal line stands against the Broncos. I think he put in a couple of the tackles that stopped the Denver offense in those situations as well. He was definitely there contributing on those plays. And I just thought he held up really well. There was no plays that, from what I can remember anyway, that were down to him on the busted sort of coverages. Obviously, you saw the one with Colby and stuff like that. There wasn't anything like that with him. I think he kept it smart, and we've been hearing it again, similar to how I mentioned on the last Hot Takes podcast that I was confident that Michael Jackson was going to get the start at outside cornerback opposite Tariq, because Pete has been saying all training camp that he's absolutely fine and happy with Mike Jackson on the field. You've been hearing the same with Josh Jones, and there was no, because I thought it was going to be Ryan Neal that would come in straight away, and although he did come in, Ryan Neal, it seemed like they preferred to go with Josh Jones from what I saw anyway. So I just thought I'd give him a mention in terms of it looks like now that we need someone to step up and take Jamal's place at that strong safety spot. Josh Jones looks like he may well be the guy.
Oh, 100%. The one thing he did do bad, and it's like pretty much like quite when he first came in, was when Kobe Bryant messed up that coverage for the touchdown. It was Josh Jones who then messed the tackle up.
Yeah.
He should have been able to wrap him up there. But like I said before, one thing I'm looking for this year personally is players who are alert enough to be able to change. And he didn't do it. In my opinion, he didn't put a foot wrong after that.
No, I thought it was excellent. And just that situation to come in off the bench, could have been a bit rusty and stuff like that, and he was straight in there making plays. And I just thought it looks like hopefully we're not going to have too much of a drop off potentially at that position with Jamal going down, that we should be able to rely on Josh Jones and Ryan Neal. So I thought I'd give him a mention. But let's get to these cornerbacks then, because I think that's another big talking point. Doesn't feel like anything is solved yet at cornerback after that first game. I think they're still going to be figuring this position out for a little while yet. Other than the offensive, the penalties, the pass interference penalties on Tariq Woolen. I mean, the stats don't lie. I think he was excellent. 34 coverage snaps, 3 targets. He allowed 0 catches, 39.6 passer rating, which was not only the best among all the rookies this year in week 1, 5th among all cornerbacks in the NFL this week for passer rating. I mean, for a 5th round rookie, for as raw as he is, I mean, I keep saying I call him Viagra because that's what he does to me. I'm so excited about this guy, man. Honestly, we have not had a prospect since Richard Sherman like this guy coming out of college. He's just a Batman suit avatar, whatever you want to call him, Viagra avatar, Batman, whatever you want to call him, I'm
going to send him a tweet and say, are you comfortable with your name on a podcast being?
He hasn't got a choice. He hasn't got a choice.
I was going to say, someone tweet him or DM him. Just someone, James, you slip into his DMs. Obviously, that's
fucking James will slip into someone else.
I was going to say, call him Viagra. All jokes aside, I thought the PI penalties, but I think they were just rookie errors. I think he was sticky in coverage, and I think after that, the first PI, he kind of realised he can't be that close. And I tweeted, I said, look, you need to be like at least half an arm's length. Just give them that, just so you're not seen to be smothering them. And he seemed to have learned on the fly, which was really good to see. Yeah. Like, he showed his speed, he showed his turn of everything, his turn of pace, his body control to get through and stay with like the wide receivers.
That coverage on Cortland Sutton on that end zone shot was as good a coverage as you'd see from any cornerback in the NFL.
Yeah,
hands down.
So it was brilliant.
It was brilliant. Thoughts on the opposite side, or Pez, if you want to mention Tariq Woolen, but any other thoughts?
Do you know what? I was quite surprised because it might have just been the penalties what stuck out to me, but I just felt like he didn't have as good as a day, and I was just like, I had to go back and watch it. I was like, oh yeah, actually, it might have been because it was like 3 a.m. and I was half asleep. But I was like, oh really? But one of his flags was good. Like it's a bit like in our football, you know, if you got beat in the middle of the field and they got open space,
cynical foul.
You clip him.
Foul, yeah.
A team foul.
Yeah.
Just a team foul. You're doing it for the team, and he did one because Cortland Sutton had him beat hands down.
Yeah,
and he just pulled him. The other one, personally, I felt like Cortland Sutton was all over him as much as he was over. But I just believe that a rookie tussling with a more veteran player is always going to get the flag because the refs are like, no, you need to learn. Like, I can't let you get away with that because you need to learn the rules, essentially. I'll just quickly, whilst I'm rambling, I'll quickly jump onto the other side. Michael Jackson, I'd say defensively, he's one of our best players.
Fumble recovery, pretty solid in pass coverage.
The awareness to jump on that ball, great. It wasn't even that, like, that's just instinctive nature to do. Like any player would do it as soon as ball on the floor. It's like a cat with a fucking laser beam in it. Put a laser beam that's like ball. Like, but it wasn't that. It was just his coverage, his play for a pretty much unknown guy going into this season to make a name for himself like that. You're looking at Artie Burns, you're looking at Trey Brown, you're looking at Sidney Jones, and you're thinking you three might be on the outside looking in here because these two aren't ready to give them spots up.
Speaking of Sidney Jones, did anyone think that when he came back onto the field?
Was it that play where he froze?
He looked like I've seen concussed people. I've been a concussed person. When you have no idea what's happening, you start doing something. All of a sudden, your brain goes, "What we're doing," and you have a brain fart, and you go, "Yeah." And he just froze. It's like he wasn't sure what he was supposed to be doing, and it worried me a little bit, if I'm honest, because like concussion is quite a serious thing. He was out for a long time with concussion, which meant that it was a serious concussion. I want to point that out on the poll because it's generally I saw it and I thought, well, that doesn't look good. Like if I know if I was playing and I had that sort of reaction even after being cleared of sort of like head trauma, a coach should be looking at that thinking maybe a few more checks.
Because he got beat, didn't he? And he just stood still.
Yeah, he just stood like.
Did he even fight his guy?
Even before he got beat, he was like walking into position, like, "Is this where I stand?" And then he just got burned, and he went, "Oh." It was like that John Travolta meme of
what from Pulp Fiction.
He's like a Windows 95 computer, just crashing.
Pez, will you stop with these? Honestly, you're on a reference
on it.
Honestly, dear me.
Away from that, I think the one person who I felt a bit bad for was Kobe Bryant.
Yeah, I was going to mention him. Yeah,
I knew that was coming. He that one play, it was a real shame because he was with him. He was with Judy. He had his hands to the ball. And then just lost the ball.
Didn't get his head round.
That was it. If you look, his hands were probably like millimeters away because he didn't get his head round. Judy caught it and just burned him because Kobe, as we know and as was documented throughout like the combine and everything, he hasn't got raw pace like Woolen, but he's cerebral. He's intelligent enough to know what he needs to do, and he showed that by getting to Judy. But he just didn't turn his head quick enough, and that's the second time it's happened now. Because it happened with Pickens as well in pre-season, and then with Judy. So that's a work on for me.
Yeah,
but it's still promising.
So the thing is, at the start of the route, he kept with Judy. What was impressive, Judy's a burner, and he kept with him. But you are exactly right because I turned around in the pre-season and I said, but in the second game, Kobe had a similar thing, got his head round, but then. Maybe I was giving him too much praise because then when I think about it, when he swatted the ball out of the hands in the end zone in the second preseason,
he just had his hand up, mate.
He wasn't looking again.
He just had his hand up.
His biggest issue is not getting his head round because if he turned his head round on the Pickens play, he would have had a better chance of swatting that out of his hands. If he turned around on the Judy play, he would have been able to locate the ball a lot better because he was, like you said, he was millimeters away. But that wouldn't have been millimeters. That would have even been a broken, or potentially he could have undercut Judy and stopped wrestling with him and actually took a play on the ball. But that's why he's not Sauce. We're starting to see the different levels of why Sauce is who Sauce is and why Kobe went a couple of rounds later. He's got the raw abilities there. But do you know what? I said it to you guys. The thing what really bugged me about it was they put him back out there, but Denver called a timeout and then they pulled him. I've not seen the snap counts yet. Normally they get posted around today or tomorrow, and we'll see because after that play, I didn't see him again. He did get put back out there, but I would have really liked to see him go back out there in the slot and just get it out of his system. It's weird. Do you know what it is? It's weird. The first preseason game, he made the same mistake. His first NFL proper game, he made the same mistake. And how confidently back him because I think, again, he's an intelligent player. I think if he's not just put in a doghouse and he's given another chance, I don't think he'll make the mistake again. It's almost like a weird, nervous first-time thing with him.
Maybe it's just a concentration issue. I mean, if you're looking at concentration issues, then something that can help is our sponsor, Blessed CBD.
Oh, I like it.
So what a
like
segue.
We're getting good at this. We're getting too good at this.
We're getting too professional.
We've teamed up with Blessed CBD, blessedcbd.co.uk, to help with people who may have any type of injury, affliction, illness that you want a natural remedy for. All of their products are lab tested. They can help you with things from anxiety to pain from arthritis, from recovering from any sort of injury to collapsing concentration. It's all there. Again, I said this last week, massive advocate. It's helped me through my recovery from my spinal cord injury and through the multiple head knocks I had playing rugby, which explains a lot to a lot of our listeners. If you want to give it a go, all you need to do is head to blessedcbd.co.uk. That's blessedcbd.co.uk. Select from their range of oils, gummies, capsules, balms, lotions. And when you get to checkout, just put in code Seahawk. That's SEAHAWK, and you will get 10% off your order. Thank you.
Thank you, Bless CBD, and please do go ahead and follow that link and do that if you need to. Right, let's end this with these Pete Carroll comments then. For anyone who hasn't seen it or doesn't know, I'm going to read a snippet out of it, because there's a very interesting theory behind potentially the context to these comments potentially. So obviously he was asked about the win after the game, Pete, and potentially needing validation for beating Russell Wilson and stuff like that, and all that stuff as he was going to be asked. He says, "I don't need validation. I just wanted to win. I wanted to win for all of the reasons that come along with this one. It meant a lot to those guys that have played before, and obviously there was a bit of a contingent there that were there at this game, which I'll get on to." He then went on to say, and was asked why the win meant so much to the former players that were there. Simply responded by just saying, "You figured that out. It was really meaningful, and they really wanted it, and I knew we were playing for a lot more than just the regular stuff. We have a real connection with the history." And then it's basically going to say the game isn't about an individual player here or there. It's about the team, ultimate team sport, and it takes everybody. Now, at the game last night alone, there was a little sort of mini Seahawks Legends reunion from the Super Bowl days, notably, that all were at the game. These players were all confirmed at the game. Marshawn Lynch, Doug Baldwin, Richard Sherman, Sidney Rice, KJ Wright, obviously raising the 12th man flag. They were all confirmed to be at the game last night. And we also know that Richard Sherman and Marshawn Lynch were quite involved in training over the past week or two at the VMAC and offering their thoughts. That seemed to me like a deliberate ploy, let's put it that way, by whether it was Pete asking them.
It's head games, isn't it?
That's what I'm saying. It's a reunion of people who all seem to have
hate Russell Wilson.
Yes, seem to potentially hate Russell Wilson.
Pez just took away all the ambiguity of what you're about to say and just put it out there. It's true.
But then I think
sports hate.
Yeah, but then by getting KJ Wright as well to lift it, to raise the 12th man flag, having all those guys, that it just felt and looked to me like Pete or whoever has deliberately done that and said, if we can get into Russ's head by if he can come out and see all those guys there that hate him and potentially don't like him and cause the rift, because this is what he's basically confirmed as to why we're talking about this. He's basically confirmed in those comments that there was a rift, and that by saying, well, you just take a guess why those lot sat in the boxes and in the VIP. You have a guess why they potentially really enjoyed that win. There you go. Because why else? If there was no rift, they would be supportive of Russell Wilson. They wouldn't be egging and desperate for us to beat him. So he's just basically confirmed that what we all knew for all these years, that there was definitely a rift between certain players and Russell Wilson. So what are your thoughts on that? And it's very revealing, very telling. And do you agree with me that this was a potentially a deliberate PR move by the Seattle Seahawks to do this in the run up to the game?
100% a PR move. It's 100% a good coach using mind games against someone, because obviously, but there's been whispers out there about the fact that some of these players didn't like him, the fact that Russell Wilson made that comment about carrying a team, and carrying a team full of professional sports people is not something you say, especially when you've got contributors out there like Doug Baldwin, who without his receptions Russ wouldn't have looked half as good,
especially with the LOB as well.
Exactly. There was, I can't remember who I was listening to. It might have been the Man to Man podcast. Shout out for them.
Yeah.
Michael Shaw and Christopher Kidd. But I think they said that it was telling that Doug Baldwin was there. So since he's retired, he's been to 2 games now. This one and one other.
Yeah.
At Lumen. And that speaks verses.
Yeah.
That's how much it meant to these guys to be there, to cheer on the Seahawks, and basically shove 2 fingers up at Russell Wilson for his comments. And we were only speculating here about how he might have been as a teammate. Based on what I've seen, I could categorically tell you that I would hate to have him on my team, because no one likes someone who thinks they're bigger than the team. But I think this was pretty indicative of the general locker room feeling.
Yes, awfully convenient, wasn't it, Pez?
Sherm loved it the most out of anyone because he's the
Those
the most
tweets
vocal
afterwards.
He's the most vocal on he's the most vocal on Russ. But don't get me wrong, right? So like Josh said, it's like sportsman hate. I think a lot of Sherm's, not a lot, some of Sherm's a bit bitterness towards Russ was because he wanted his big contract. Russ got his big contract and Sherm lost out. And then Sherm got injured and he never got that, as they say, the bag. And I think that is a bit of what drives Sherm to dig out Russ. I do. I think that obviously all the other factors behind the scenes, the Super Bowl, whatever. I do. I think it is that. The biggest one for me is Doug Baldwin.
Yeah.
Because the connection them two had for the whole time they were at Seattle, the defense is all, at the end of the day, defensive players and offensive players, they don't really share time together. So if Russ is coming across as being quite arrogant and a bit this and a bit that, to someone on the outside looking in, then I can understand the perception from the defense's point of view that he's a certain type of individual. But the big telling point for me is the fact that him and Doug Baldwin had probably one of the best chemistries in their time in the league. It's massively underrated what them two did together. For Doug Baldwin to have a massive problem with him is a telling point. Now, to kind of sit on the fence job, Doug Baldwin has been in interviews as well to say that he stayed away from the Seahawks on purpose. Nothing to do with Russell Wilson, to do with his own mental struggles with leaving football. And now I am not prepared to use him as oh, look, even Doug's digging him out, because he's been quite open, but in podcasts saying about his struggles with leaving the sport, being such an ultra competitor, that I wouldn't like to smear his personal battles, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I wouldn't like to go, oh yeah, look, fucking Doug hates him, when by the sounds of it, he's had a shite time since he retired, figuring out who he is. But now he's figured out who he is, he's putting gifts out there aimed at certain individuals. So you're just like, it's just interesting, man. Now, Beast Mode has Marshawn ever openly said he's got an issue with Russ? Because I don't think he has an issue with anyone, that fella.
No, I don't think he's ever. He's done interviews talking about, what was the play call and on all that stuff. He's never digged him out, I wouldn't say.
But because I don't think he's that type of guy. I genuinely don't think he is. Like, Doug's never openly said as far as I'm aware, Doug's never openly said, I despise Russ or I don't like him as a person. What I personally think with them two is Russ just changed. Doug probably saw the change in Russ, and Doug's quite a real guy, you know what I mean? So again, he is the telling one for me. That I don't think it's the fact that they dislike Russ. I think it's the fact that he changed, I personally think, with some of these fellas. It's like Josh did the post, very controversial post on Instagram. It was Josh everyone.
Whoa.
Josh everyone. It was him.
Just get that out there, Pez.
You know the best thing there? You've just pointed, but depending on how James has this set up, you could be pointing to anyone, mate.
Josh.
Yeah, see on my screen, you're pointing to the corner.
He said your name. I'm not editing it out.
No, but we all support him. We all have his back in everything he puts. But it's true. It's true. It's true. He changed. And some fan bases say Sierra came along. He changed who he was. And I think that on the offensive side, I think that's what griped them the most. Was it's a bit like she's like, you can be better than this. Stop wearing, because he used to wear casual stuff. He never used to get himself dressed. It was a bit like a Tyler Lockett, wasn't he? From what I remember, he just kind of he wasn't asked about his suit and his this and that. And then all of a sudden, it just started changing and evolving. And people probably looked at him and gone, "You're not the guy who first came into this team."
It was all very much, he went from workman-like behaviour to I'm here to do a job, I'm here to win titles, to meeting Sierra, and then the superstar mentality started kicking in. So he started being seen at a lot of these like New York galas and doing all these photo shoots and shit like that. And then the superstar mentality came in. And I still to this day cringe beyond belief when I see that video of them both in bed.
Hey, Seattle, we got a deal.
Go Hawks.
And him with all the drip, the 3 or 4 chains going, yo, Seattle, we got a deal. And then Sierra nuzzles in like, yay, we're rich, we have no wildest dreams. And I'm just like, every time I watch it, I'm just like, oh my God, that's cringy. That's the epitome of the man. Like, and then you see he's just got worse since then. It's like you give him all the money, becomes an even bigger douche. Like, and again, I will reiterate this to anyone listening: it's not personal hate. This is sports hate and sports perception. I'm sure if I met him, he's a lovely bloke and with a really nice chat. But from a sports fan's perspective,
I don't think you're there, Josh. I don't think you're there. The healing process isn't there. We're not meeting face to face.
No, he's not coming on the podcast.
Right, boys. I've just thought then how we spoke about the last bit. It might not even make sense. We just kind of just went off on, well, probably me, went off on a tangent.
When does anything ever make sense on this podcast?
But what I'm going to say now, I'm calling it now from this podcast forward. Russell Wilson, closed. He's a closed book. That game's out of the way. We beat his ass. He's riding back to Denver, and that's it. On this podcast, I'm calling it right now. No more Russell Wilson talk. He's done. We've dusted him off. He's dead to us. Go die in Denver with your fucking head coach, with your head coach in your press conference, like, either you're upset because you wish you were still in Seattle, or it's dawning on you slowly like the ticking clock, like, oh no, I've got a shit old line and my head coach don't trust me. Whoa, wait, oh, am I still in Seattle? Oh, hello? No, he's done. He's not a Seahawk anymore. He's nothing to do with us anymore. Fucking chuck him in the bin and let's set him on fire.
Lovely.
Well, that's a bit harsh.
Lovely.
Hypothetically.
Oh, good. No, you saved it there. Well done.
Hypothetically.
Yes.
Real.
Before we end the podcast, any final words, any final takeaways from that first game that you would like to any sum it up in a couple of words if you want?
Let's ride.
Let's ride. All right, Shelby.
No, all I'm going to say is make sure everyone checks us out on all our social medias. We have Twitter, we have Instagram, we now have a Facebook group. So if you want to get in the Facebook group, just search We Talk Seahawks. And providing that I don't think you're a fake profile, we'll let you in.
Yes. We'll let you in anyway.
We've also got a Discord as well. Message us on any of those mediums and we will give you that for free. We're not asking you for money to join our Discord. We're not like that. And apart from that, watch out for some merch coming out soon. And go Hawks.
Go Hawks, man. Thanks for everyone that's listened. And like I said, do go and follow us on all the social medias. Definitely go and check out that package from the Take 12 podcast and use We Talk 12 at the checkout if you want the discount on it as well. But let's go. It's Niners week now. Let's go. Let's make it 2-0 as Josh believes we're going to. I now believe we're going to as well. Let's go and do it.
I believe that we will win.
I believe that we will win. We're not getting that chant going. We're ending the podcast there and then. Go Hawks. Thanks to everyone for listening. And stay tuned, man.